Hello YouTube, this is my stream recap slash poll plans, stream month overview, something for November, beginning of October and early November at least. I'm going to be highlighting my poll plans and going over stuff briefly. I do more in-depth videos as the month goes on, so stay tuned for that. Switching up my format a bit and doing this one-take video was a success last month, so I'm just going to keep doing it, going through the slides, giving some brief stuff, just keeping it really simple, giving y'all an idea of what I'm thinking, anything before we go into the months. And again, more videos will be released as we go about the month. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. I play both JP and GL, if you're unaware, and I use my perspective on both to kind of inform y'all, tell some, I'm not going to say I'm really good at it, but I'm able to identify some sleeper stuff and maybe raise up some points that people who only play GL don't identify, and I'm pretty consistent with it, so be sure to hit that subscribe, like, whatever. We got Zack on the screen. Some things before I start. This was the big month that made a lot of people freak out about Vanille MIA. You can go back on Reddit and YouTube and see some of the stuff, the reactions, the comments from there. And first off, I know some of y'all, some of my viewers who will comment on my stuff. I went back and I saw some of y'all in there too, so nobody's safe. I remember at times complaining about Vayne and Cait's Vanille MIA. But I do have my takes and my retrospectives on on record as well, and I did not freak out. I was saying at the beginning, wait until it evens out, and now look at JP now. It's a pretty content's largely just a joke, although we are getting new weapons, so that'll be hype as well. So just if you were one of those people who were concerned with the state of the game when this period was happening in JP, go back and look at your own comments, see how things panned out, and maybe learn from what you misinterpreted. But I learned a lot of things from these fights. This month definitely made me a better player at the game as a whole, in my opinion. Also, I'm gonna say this when I get around to Auron, but Auron's not getting a rework. They were incorrect on the slides, and the fact that people freaked out that thought he was getting a rework just kind of proves my point that reworks are such a useless metric for anything, because nobody knows the skills do anymore, and that becomes compounded even more in T90. People are like, oh, no skill rework, not good. It's just stupid and tired at this point. I'm sick of it. Yeah, it is what it is on that front. This is probably the first month where BT pluses, if you're not getting the BT plus, you probably shouldn't grab the LD. That's going to be a trend largely. Ace and Zidane were actually pretty decent without BT, but going forward, a lot of the units without them are just not great in my opinion. But I'll be going more into that as well. We don't know of any quality of life. EX gauge, being able to see that off of our turns would have been nice, but they didn't announce it on stream, so I'm not expecting it to come. I don't know what else quality of lives are missing. GL side of JP doesn't have. And I've been talking for, only 3 minutes. Felt like 5. I think we can keep going now. But we are on the Zack slide, so let's talk about Zack real quick. They are, as expected, giving him with the October, the Halloween thing that Gallup came with in JP. They had to shuffle the campaigns around. And Zack is coming with Vayne's BT. It says during the Halloween campaign. They didn't give a direct date for his banner, so it's either he's with Vayne or he's going to come maybe a little after, maybe on the Thursday. We don't know. It left this kind of vague, so it is what it is. But whenever Zack comes out, that's gems. I already talked about him. I did an in-depth full plans video, so check that out if you haven't already. My take of Zack as the damage dealer that tanks has seemed to spread around decently, so I'm glad that was able to make the rounds, even if I didn't get credited for it. But it is what it is. Shout out to Goose for actually giving credit. Anywho, let's not dwell on that. Vayne is an interesting one. Man, I have feelings about Vayne. I was following my my poll DL, the 2 weeks energy rule, assuming that they'd be able to do me decent throughout the events, and that was not the case with Vayne. There is the notion going around that Vayne is bad in his cycle, and I think that's a bit hyperbolic. I don't think he's the best choice for any of his fights outside of Shelke's fight, and I'll go into that as we get there. But the thing about Vayne's Lufenia is that they warp to you after 12 turns, and Vayne is a consecutive turn and he re-breaks so you can push people back. What messed people up was going ham with Vayne and then getting slapped. This can be alleviated a couple ways, and the orb is +4 on breaks. So you just break them out of order so you don't push them back too far and let them act. But what I found to be the best strategy, and what ended up helping me win, was doing just putting up some defensive measures, Zack and Beatrix taking less damage from us overall, and then hitting them in the off turns with Beatrix's off turn defense ignore follow-up, Zack's skill 2. Or dropping their defense in general, I found pretty helpful here. So Ace and Porum doing a lot of defense down. there's a bunch of options for this stage, but I found the best option to not be Vayne, especially LD Vayne. I remember my initial team, it was a bad team of like Vayne, LD, Bart. Oh yeah, Vayne has like base Unity armor for some reason. It's really obnoxious. I assumed he had the DPS one, but he gets some party auras with his LD, and his rework gives him, he doesn't burn skill uses when he's at full stacks. So he's a skill spammer. You probably won't be, you have no reason to press HP plus anymore. But just don't spam breaks, break them out of order, and break him in the off turn, and you should be fine with this. Turn count's low, and they like the HP attack, so he's got it's a lot of timing things. I wish they would have put some indicator to determine that 12 turns are up, because it's such a weird number. I guess after 12 they were trying to be cute, but it really wasn't that funny. And the stage was frustrating, but I plan to come back and clap it with like Ace and Beatrix, and I'm gonna throw Barrett in there from Marcopium. But Ace havers, Beatrix havers, get ready to eat on this fight, because y'all are getting ready. Vayne's got a follow-up lock behind BT plus 2, which also feels like garbage. And again, if you don't plan on greening Vayne, I would not even touch his LD banner, honestly. His EX plus rework, well no, his rework on his base kit is enough to carry you through chaos. So don't feel like you need the LD to get you through the challenge quests. And there's only 2 challenge quests in this cycle, because the mission done with Cait, it does not have a challenge quest, so it's even less reason to pull him for challenges. Anyways, Cloud of Darkness gets reworked as well. Double dump skill 1, and then the LD board gets reworked to have more HP damage up on the stacks, something along those lines, and then the BT plus longer duration and HP damage up. So Cloud of Darkness is doing substantially a lot more damage, and I want people to reevaluate. Go back to my videos, go back to my takes when Cloud of Darkness first released BT plus, and I said if you're pulling for BT plus now, make sure you actually want to use the unit, you know, because you probably won't have enough resources. And I said that I was trying to throw some foresight in there, but I don't know how many people that message reached, but I hope now that there's more context for me saying that. Look back, see if you fell for the COD BT plus hype, and if you're not even gonna green COD now and you went crazy and barely used the unit, I'm sorry. I tried to tell y'all, but it is what it is. And then yeah, I really don't have good things to say about Vayne. Him using him LD only, and then my worst experience with Vayne was I tried to re-break with him, and I don't think I had Bart's BT up or at the time, and he reset the break status and he couldn't break them again. The stage was thick. I should have brought defense down. Defense down is a huge help here. So again, ace havers, defense ignorers are gonna eat. It is what it is there, honestly. Or sets you can just set your throat as well, I guess, but yeah. Or battery through it. Just make sure you can break them. That's the thing about the stage. The orb, it's +4 on breaks. So even if you can battery through most of it, you're gonna have to break them eventually. So yeah, Beatrix havers, rejoice. I think people will handle this fight fine because it was appropriately panicked about. Yeah, I don't think this fight's gonna trip people up. I mean, people who struggle with Rain's Vow probably gonna struggle with the stage, but they struggle with every stage. Let's talk about. Nope, not that. 300 retweets is sad, by the way. Get COD if you need to farm. So Cait Sith is getting a rework in LD. The reworks, Toy Soldier still sucks. The move is awful right now, but Skill 2 is at least free and instant, and it's got a burst heal on it, so that's nice. And the LD makes it so every brave hit someone does, they have a brave gain for themselves based on their max brave. I think that's how it works. I don't know exactly. So people with a lot of brave hits will obviously like. People with a few brave hits won't love it very much. People compare this to Setzer. It's a weird comparison because I mean I think I might have made it at some point, but it's a boost to brave hits, but unlike Setzer, it's an aura, but it can also be reduced by brave gain because it's a green number. But Cait Sith also got, I think it's like 20% HP damage up, so Cait Sith got some pretty decent stuff, and it's C slot, so you can use the Paladin Cecil RF as well. Except this is a mission dungeon, which means there's no synergy, so even if you bring Vayne, he's going to be hitting off synergy stats, so that's going to be sad already. The orb, this fight is probably up there as one of the worst fights in the game's history. This fight was also appropriately, in fact, I don't think there's any amount of annoyance that this stage provides that hasn't adequately been communicated, but the orb is sap, but Cait Sith does not have sap, but Gabronth does. If you don't have Gabronth's call, by the way, this is actually a pretty good banner for you. Maybe, especially with people without Kurasami, no HP damage up. This is a great time to grab an HP damage up call in the form of Gabronth. This will significantly increase your damage dealt because it's HP damage up. Anyways, what you want to do in this fight is you want to drop a call, because debuff start overrides the 100%. It's the Ico bosses, so they have 100% evasion in the beginning, and you want to drop a debuff call, and you need to nuke the ads down, and it's I think it's +6 on a sap or poison effect and a +2 on break, which end up only being +1 on the orb. The issue though is once you kill the ads and the boss goes into a phase where it's gonna revive the ads. It doesn't move on itself and it buffs itself, I think, and it revives the ads. The issue is that if the sap debuff, the ads are deadly first off, so you don't kill them quickly. They can very easily blow you up. And when the ads come back, then it becomes hard to break the boss, and then if you don't sap them enough with the debuff start, then they end up just, the orb will go off, and it's a very tricky fight to manage. There's phases where it's launch immune, and the way to get around this is to stun the boss constantly. A lot of the runs, it's either you have to do an insane amount of DPS raising, and then you can stun it with Agrius. Sorry, hit my mic. One take. You can stun it with Agrius. Stunning with Agrius was the most popular option because Agrius has the most amount of stuns in the game. She's the easiest to pop them off. Toto, RNG with Porum or Waka or Ramu summon, you could get away with it. But so if you stun it because it at HP threshold it will did I mention in the Vayne fight that after 12 fights it slaps you, 12 turns it slaps you? I think it did, whatever. I'm just thinking about that now. Anyways, so what you want to do, I forget the HP thresholds, you want to make sure it's stunned, because when it warps forward it'll get stunned and then it won't summon the ads back and you can just continue to beat it down. That is the path to least resistance for the stage. You don't need Agrius for it. The Agrius is the easiest way to go about it. What else? And then big single target DPS, so like Tifa, Vaughn, Reigns, options like that. This fight is pretty horribly designed. It did a horrible job of selling Cait. The only thing you could cope into Cait doing is he could because Cait has an instant break on his LD, and it even hits the evaded, the middle one that has evasion, so it goes through that. So like that's a +1 in that, but that's not really a help. And then Cait increases your damage. That's how you can cope through him being useful for the fight. But and then Vayne's supposed to re-break, so if you spam a bunch of breaks with Vayne and maybe Titus BT+, then you can stall the orb maybe, but this is really just one of the worst fights of all time, and this should be cheesed by any means. And then we have Shelke. Shelke is she's got a bit of Eldnarsh in her, and that she warps after enemy turns, and she's got unconditional consecutive turns. I don't think like anybody, so after she actually just gets to go again, and you can offset this by using C65, which is also an attack in the middle. So she can chain a lot of turns together and she'll go after enemy turns, and she's got transforming skills. You're supposed to like skill 1, and then you're supposed to either skill 1 or skill 2 afterwards. She gets a personal brave shield. I think the warp is conditional on her overhead being active. She's got a lot of moving parts, and for people who aren't very good at the game, it's going to be very confusing for her, asking what is Shelke's rotation, etc. And she recovers all her skills on her LD, so she resets back to quest start. Fujin's on this banner, and LD, and then Lulu gets LD on the Lost Chapter. The orb is skill recovery, so people who recover 2 skills, you actually have to recover the skills. You can't just do a move that recovers 2 skills. So Agrius is again popular, and she can cheese it. I'll talk about that in a second. But Y'shtola recovers 2 skills. Vayne recovers 2 skills. Dark Cecil, Yuri, King. Some people have it on their C65 one time. Drawing a blank. Oh, Prompto's got it on his LD. But basically, you want one of those characters that has a skill recover. The tricky part about this fight is that if the ad gets a turn, and then it will bring the main boss forward, and while the ad is out, the main has like 100% evasion or something, so you can't hit it, and then it'll nuke you, and then you die. So you don't want that to happen. You want to kill the ad before it gets a turn, and then the main boss gets weaker. But then when it resummons the ad, it becomes evasion. It becomes 100% dodge again. I don't know the exact term for it. I keep messing it up. Anyways, where was I going with that? The way around this, if it's confused, then it is unable to dodge. You can just wail on it. This significantly cuts the amount of damage you can do. Your AoEs are good. The ad is launch immune, but the main boss isn't. So path to least resistance for this stage is probably Agrius for the confuse. It has to be a confuse, not a paralyze. Y'shtola. If you have Y'shtola BT+, because especially you need to spam her skills because she recovers skills, so she can hit the orb. LD Agrius hits it as well, and then you can just DPS the main one down with Reigns, and then you're good. Otherwise, skill recover is Prompto. Like I said, Dark Knight Cecil, who's a bit crept right now. I don't know. Vayne it actually works because he's got skill recover on his X. This is probably his best fight he's for in his cycle, just for that notion alone. Or you can just use Shelke. Use King. I don't know the feasibility of bringing someone under geared, but for orb control, especially if you're cheesing with dagger race, that decreases the amount of damage you need to do. But it is what it is. I hope this video doesn't go to 30 minutes again. I don't know what else to say about Shelke though. I think I already did I talk about what my plans for this is my plans, right? Jesus, I haven't talked about those. Skip Vayne, skip CoD, probably skip Cait, maybe Shelke. I have an interest in her kit. I might throw tickets, but I might get around Cat by then. Twins. Twins get a rework. They get double HP attacks on their 100% AoE skills. Definitely farm 108s for them now because they might not cap either hits. Garland gets a rework as well, and his skills have multiple HP attacks now. And I think he gets more of them as well, so he can spam even harder. Although he was already a skill spammer, his LD doesn't change. I think I don't remember, but Twins BT Plus does crazy stuff like raises HP cap and HP damage, and it scales based on who is how many people on the field. So at 3 targets, Twins become such a monster friend unit. I think they have their own buff scales on HP damage as well. I actually don't quite know how they work. I just know LD makes them go boom, and they become a really powerhouse DPS unit. I think there's a bit of exaggeration to the Twins as well, saying they're only good as friend unit. That's not true. Twins in party does a lot of damage, so you just don't bring them versus one target, because they obviously massively suffer. But why would you wouldn't do that at any point, but now they just double down on it. Most fights are 2 target, and Twins have a I want to say it's like a 20% HP damage, HP cap up aura, so that's pretty good. HP cap auras are always good, especially if you're capping, and they just pump out a lot of damage. So yeah, very valuable friend, very valuable in party too. I have a semi interest in them, but not really. Garland, half interest, but I'm probably not. I don't think I'm gonna green him. Maybe JP, I might green him somehow. I don't know. I don't have his BT and JP though. As for the fight, this fight's interesting. I remember on release, people who didn't play JP or just JP scrubs freaked out about the orb because it was deal 850k in 1 turn, and I think it was plus a high number on the orb. But the thing is, it's actually the confusion over this fight came because people can't I think people just can't read or can't count. That's what it was. People can't count. So they got upset because they're like, how are we supposed to do that much damage in a turn? Not realizing that we could already do that much damage in a turn. I mean, Twins could very easily hit it with their LD Twins friend. So the operative strategy here was to actually front load your damage. BT phase early, bring in the friend early, and then the orb goes away after 50%. So you're good there. And the ads, the boss warps after 12 turns if it doesn't get to act. So if the ads go, there's Vanille MIA that does LD and cleanses and kills you. And the Warrior Light, I think, does LD as well. But so the cheap way around this was to HP silence them with either Agris and not Agris, or well, I guess Agris could work silence, but Arciella or a Kefka, and then the ads would just never do anything and just beat up the middle boss. And 100% AoEs with AoE Brave hits really hit here because they're 3 targets, but the mannequins are really squishy. Also, the main boss, I believe, has some mid-air HP damage reduction, and this was one of the fights that is doomed as Rain's being unable to do. But the thing is that it's not big enough HP damage reduction in mid-air, so you can just stack enough and blow the boss up anyways. So Rain's gets through this fight fine as well. Twins are decent, but I think I'm gonna skip them. I don't think I'd chase their LD. It's a lot of skips for me this month, if you can't tell. Not units I wouldn't probably use that much, to be honest. But yeah, they both got good stuff. All right, moving along. Then we can finish this soon. Garnet, intersecting wills, not intertwined wills. Now I got to go back and change all my damn YouTube titles to IW or intersecting wills. Damn. It's just another filler chapter for people that already had a lost chapter or didn't have a lost chapter in the first place. It's just not lost chapter. That's all it is. Lost chapter 2. Anyways, Twins BT is here. Cam gets high armor. Garnet doesn't get reworked, but she does get a solid LD. She gets some brave gain up, party weakness damage up, I believe, and she gets a follow-up that's kind of like Prompto in that after enemies take turns, it goes up a stack, and when it gets to 4, she does a follow-up on their turns. So instead of leaning into her support, they leaned a bit into her support, but even more so into her damage, more so off-turn. I think she's the first off-turn enchanter we have, so that's a nice combo stuff. She's all right. I never used her outside of this event though, in the boss rush in JP, just because I never felt the need to use her. I don't think she's any standout. I think she's just all right. Nothing bad. Just I got nothing bad to say about it. I have nothing glowing to say about her either. The fight is funny. All the fights in Twin Cycle 3 targets, by the way, but it's triple antlions, and they drop your HP really low, and they have high eye brave, and I think they get brave regen on their turn. So if you don't get that brave regen off, or you don't heal yourself back up, it's very easy to get one-shotted from eye brave by these bosses. So but outside, the orb is +1 on water and +1 on thunder damage, so enchanters plus off turns will eat here. Ace havers, once again, ace scales so well against 3 targets. Same in the twins fight too. I plan to use ace on a bunch of these, by the way. Ace, Beatrix, because they buff themselves. Beatrix will dispel them. Beatrix will keep you alive as well. Probably Cryo, Garnet's Call if you have her EX plus but not LD. It drops it gives the party the water and thunder buff as well, so you can hit weakness. So there's a lot of ways around this fight. It just took a while, because especially if you do a bunch of off-turn stuff, or you can just blow them up really quickly with Twins Friend, because Twin Friends cuts down a lot of their HP. It's actually ridiculous, and they continue to cut your HP down at HP thresholds. I think Beatrix can block it. I know Gladio eats here too. There's options for this fight. Definitely, this and the Twins fight are definitely not nearly as restrictive as some of the fights we've had. But I'm skipping Garnet. I don't think I'd use her outside synergy again, so why do it? She does get better with C90, but you don't pull now for C90, you pull now for now. And then Auron. Auron is probably the most broken unit of the month. He becomes a counter tank. He has HP damage up on his counter debuff, party HP damage and brave damage reduction, a bunch of good stuff. Auron does not get a rework. All the smooth brains who freaked out, like, oh, yellow exclusive Auron rework inside of the slides, like reworks mean nothing, bruh. Y'all don't even know what the skills do. Just press buttons and stuff happens. Be like, Auron's proof that you don't need a rework to be good. And his on-turn base skills are but that's almost dog. Jesus. You catch that? His LD counter, it's a more defense counter. It does a lot. Auron's really good. I was hyped seeing him get so good after he's been kind of in the dirt for a bit. Garnet is boosted here as well, and the 7s on the banner. Twins are here. Yeah, if there's any banner this month that you want to get someone on, Auron is probably the unit to do it, because he's very helpful in stages like Transcended 6. And I know that I eased up my stance on solos because people don't have units, I understand that. But Transcended 6, so Auron can solo it with, I think it's a Ferris Sphere, because the orb is sap, and then Auron can just not die and then cut him down eventually. Take a long time, but it is possible. You can flex and do it if you've been playing a long time, so it is what it is there. Where was I going? The boss rush. The first wave is the tricky wave because the bosses warp right after you go, and the orb is to either deal melee weakness or reduce brave damage taken via a buff, and it's +2 for each party member. So if it's an AoE attack, it'll be +6, single target +2. So it's a pretty decent. Auron obviously carries this. The second wave is copy paste twins. Or Garnet, and it's the count steams, the deuce boss, and you need to hit water and or thunder, +1 each, and then the last wave is the 9 boss, and you need to do big AoE damage, just like in the twins fight. Not very creative. And the thing with Lufenia Plus era boss rush is that they ramp the requirement down. You don't ramp down. They brought the requirement down to, it's either 30 or 20 turns. I want to say it's 30, so it's a 30 turns per party. So you have to go faster. But it's Lufenia Plus reduction, so we now have enough juice to where we're probably going to cap everything. That's all that's coming to mind. I think I talked about everything. Oh, and then the Halloween campaign again. Yeah, whatever. These campaigns keep going. New players are eating right now because 2x does not end. If you are new, you haven't used that premium pass. If you have Cloud of Darkness, you don't have. Maybe picking up Cloud of Darkness and going through all the ultimate summons would be useful. But yeah, that's it. TLDR, my poll plans. Skip everything but Auron. Maybe Shelke if I'm interested. Maybe Cait. But definitely Auron's the only one I care about, and I'm probably going to be ticket cap at the end of the month if I skip everything. So expect my poll videos will be on JP because JP's getting a new tier. GL, not so much. And that's it. I didn't hit a half hour, but I almost did. I talked a little bit too much in the beginning. This is my overview. I will be doing more in-depth videos as we saw throughout the month last month. So please stay tuned for that. I'll be talking more directly about kits and giving more of my informed opinion rather than just spitballing based on what I remember. This month is and then people expecting a GL first FF14 because of the week gap. I think they're just streaming early because it's around Thanksgiving and they don't want to be working during Thanksgiving because the schedule always gets wonky around these times every year. Like last year, they don't even think they streamed during December because they just said, "Screw it, we'll just give y'all some slides like we're off or something." So I don't know, man. And people set themselves up for disappointment. I mean, if something does happen, cool, but I don't think it will. But if it does, cool. But yeah, this is it. I'm gonna go do other stuff. Catch you guys later. Hope this was helpful. Peace.